You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Toronto Sports Rush channel, part of the Bet Rivers Network. I'm Sara Civian, and I'm joined by a special guest who needs no introduction to Leafs fans. It's podcast mogul and my calmest friend, Steve Dangle. Steve, what's new?
I'm just a hockey dad. That's what's new. I'm out on our dinky little backyard rink every day, and it's the most fun I've ever had with hockey on account of I'm a Leafs fan.
I heard you almost brought your son to his first Leafs game, but that didn't happen. Is that true? And is this now like a superstition?
No, so we actually sort of lucked out with that. We were all sick before the game. We were supposed to go to Leafs Jets on the 23rd. We were going to try to medicate and go, and then my son barfed, so we didn't go. But then we got tickets to the game on New Year's Eve, and instead of going to a game where they lost, they ended up winning. Leo got to fist bump all the Leafs on their way out, and he got to go down for warm up. He got a hug from Carlton the Bear. It was magic. It was pure magic.
So he's locked in for life now.
For life, forever. And you don't realize the little things that are interesting to kids. Like he's very picky with me when we play together in the basement now, because he got to see face-off stances up close, and he's like, "Daddy, you're doing it wrong. You got to do it like this." And he shows me. And Joseph Woll is his favorite goalie now. I don't know where that came from, other than he got to see him play. And Ilya Sorokin was the other goalie that night, and he lifted up his mask to drink instead of squirting it through his cage. And Leo didn't know you could do that. He's 4 years old, and that blew his mind. So now whenever he's goalie, he spends most of the time, I barely get to take any shots. He just spends most of his time drinking because he thinks it's fun and interesting because he's in kindergarten.
He's already preparing to shake off the haters, so that's great.
100%.
Can you give us the temperature on being a Leafs fan in 2025?
It's tough. It's unfair, and if you're them, I would resent someone like me. I totally get it, because they won 5 straight, and some people were complaining about how they won 5 straight, and I'm like, guys, at the end of the day, it's 10 out of 10 points. Then they get 2-0 lead on Carolina and proceed to give up 6 of the next 7 goals and get completely smacked. And okay, it's one. It's just one. And then a wounded gazelle of a Canucks team waltzes into their building on Saturday night. And you're not going to win every game. You can't drop that game. You can't lose that game. So it's tricky right now in Leafs Nation.
Well, wasn't that the first time the Leafs have gotten shut out by the Canucks on home ice in the history of
ever
the teams?
Ever.
So the booing's warranted.
I can't believe how many first evers I've gotten to witness since I started my YouTube channel. It's quite it's an honor to be a part of history so often.
And in a way, it kind of is like this is the time of year where these things happen, and the Leafs are still at the top of the East. We really have to zoom out a bit, but that's impossible in Leafs fandom.
It's really hard. I mean, you can't just dismiss 82 games and be like, we're only focusing on the playoffs. And yeah, no, that's ridiculous. Okay, so what games are we going to focus on? We're going to focus on the litmus test games against opponents who you might see in the playoffs. Well, that's Carolina. And they kind of kicked your ass. Okay, well, then there's the Canucks, who are, I think, still a very good team, even though they're not in a playoff spot. I think they'll get back there. But your pro athletes versus pro athletes, there's so little between them. So you want every advantage possible. The Leafs had every tactical advantage they could possibly ask for on Saturday night, and they lost. And I think when they dropped those games, how could you blame any Leafs fan for being like, here we go again? Yeah. Right? And
it's kind of the part of it. It's so sweet when they win, tough when they lose. And that's kind of the environment you want to be in if you're going to win a Stanley Cup.
100%. I hope they embrace the pressure.
Yeah.
They don't resent the fan base or the media or any of the attention. I mean, Toronto's been, just taking a look around the NHL, it's been one of the easier media markets this year. I mean, So many teams have had to get up and do some sort of soliloquy defending their friends or their teammates or their coach. Brad Marchand's had to do it twice already in Boston.
Is there any shooting fraud there?
Oh yeah, like whomst among us has not preyed upon the downfall of their enemies? Like, I mean, but I still, whenever things go wrong for the Bruins, I'm like, they're about to rattle off 10 straight. They're about to rattle. Like, what kind of idiot would ever write that team off?
And the way Marchand reacted to that, and then they immediately beat the Panthers like they're rivaler than the Leafs. It's kind of like, oh shit, here we go again. Like that meme.
100%.
They might be on a winning streak now.
100%.
They're objectively worse than the Leafs this year. I think we can agree on that. Can we? You're still so scarred.
Generally speaking, yes. But it's like, the Leaf fans don't go by the standings. Like, yes. I think any Leaf fan would see Tampa and they'd be like, all right, okay, the Leafs should, have a pretty good game tonight. And then the next night it's like Ottawa or Columbus. And it's like, oh no. Like, oh no, not Ottawa or Columbus. Those guys really have our number for some weird reason. And we're all just damaged.
And if you zoom out a bit, they have everyone's number because they're in quasi playoff spots where it's like they have to be on every single night. So we do have to have a little bit of reality there. But to your point about the resiliency and having like teammates that do understand that, I think the addition of Chris Tanev is a leader that can kind of like when he speaks, I think he gets it. And I think he's kind of up to the challenge. Do you see that too?
100%. I've never met him. He doesn't know me, but I would die for him. He has been an absolute treasure of an addition to this team. The best right-handed defenseman. Look, I was asking this question before the season began. Who's the last... Right, Chris Tanev is the best right-handed Leafs defenseman since when? And the answer might honestly be more than 25 years ago. They have had such a rut at that position, but he is beautiful. He's blocking absolutely everything, which is something Mark Giordano did a couple years ago, but with the limitations of being a 40-year-old Mark Giordano. That guy was the oldest player in the NHL for 2 years. Tanev is also up there, but he's still playing at a very elite level, gone deep in the playoffs several times. God, I love that player. I love that player so much, and all the experience that comes with him.
Is he your favorite new guy? Do you have a favorite new guy? There's like so many additional players that have come onto the scene for the Leafs, which has been a special part of the season. I
mean, to Brad Treliving's credit, I mean, almost every new guy has been pretty good, pretty great. Like Steven Lorentz is getting a chance on the top line, and he was kind of a fan favorite coming out of camp.
I covered him a bit in Carolina, and I interviewed his dad, who's a huge Leafs fan, and his dad was just sobbing, like just so happy for his kid. And you get like he grew up being a Leafs fan, and that's kind of like, I mean, Tavares too, but he just brings such a little heart and fire that I think the Leafs need.
The other funny thing about Steven Lorentz, and you always get like little anecdotes about Leafs when they're from sort of the Toronto-ish area. They're from Waterloo, and horse people are always like, they have horses, right? Like, I don't know. It's something about horses and horse people. Hey, I know someone who knows their sister, and she rides horses, right? Like she does equestrian and all that. So I know Steven Lorentz is very popular.
Big horse guy. Okay.
Big horse guy. And he's a workhorse. He gets on his horse and he gets out there, and that's why he's on the top line tonight. And it's easy to forget because he hasn't played in a while, and he's not going to play for another little while. Anthony Stolarz, like unbelievable season, leading the league in save percentage last year, and then basically doing it again until he got hurt. Lot of popular new guys, but as much as I like the experience that they've brought to the team this year, one thing I've been thinking about a lot more recently. You got Willie going to the Four Nation faceoff, Mitch going to the Four Nation faceoff, Auston going to the Four Nation faceoff, we're going to park Yanni Hakanpää for a sec. Because I don't think he's going. But those guys are going to get more valuable experience during that dinky little 8-day tournament or whatever it is than they've probably ever gotten as a Toronto Maple Leaf. Like, these guys are going to be playing best on best hockey against the best players in the world and surrounded by the best players in the world and winners, proven winners. And they haven't always been surrounded by that. And I hope it's a transformational experience for them.
Okay, that was exactly my point about the discourse about if Matthews should go or not because he's been injured or whatever. I'm saying, no, maybe he'll get even better, like, training tips and recovery tips from people, you know? Like, it can't hurt to get experience with the best of the best. But are you of the belief that Matthews should go?
I am now. I was wishy-washy about it before because he was off for a while. Again, there's trauma with being a Leafs fan. Originally, when he was out of the lineup, we were told day-to-day. And day-to-day turned into, he's in Germany now. And we're like, what? So we were all very concerned about that. Then he was off for about a month. And then he came back, and this is very important. He came back and looked terrible. And then he was out again. Now, what gives me comfort, going forward is he looks great now. I mean, he was -5 the other night or whatever it was. He was also +5, whatever, it all comes out in the wash. It's not about the points. It's not about the plus minus or whatever. He looks comfortable. He's skating well. And as long as he's feeling good, I'm feeling good. You're going to play a max of 4 games at that tournament. Fill your boots. Like, if you're going to get hurt at that tournament, you could have just as easily gotten hurt in some regular season game on a Wednesday. Fill your boots. Go be part of that experience.
100%. All right. One big whopper before I let you go. What's one reason you think this will be the Leafs team to win the cup and one reason you don't?
Interesting. One reason this will be the Leafs team to win the cup is they're playing completely differently, I think, than they have in years past. The good and the bad. They definitely struggle to score, which is not something they did before, but they are a far better defensive team and get better stops. That's less apparent with Jake McCabe out of the lineup. That definitely hurts, but all things healthy. This is a really, really strong playoff built team. Like, one of the criticisms is they take too many penalties. Well, don't worry about that. That expires the second mid-April shows up. Like, what does Simone Benoit need to do to... No. Simone Benoit doesn't need to do anything except continue flipping his calendar until it turns to mid-April, and then all of a sudden all the stuff he does is legal. So that's fine. All the weaknesses on the team are very apparent and very obvious and very fixable. And I think they'll be active in the trade market. They're going to make at least 1 or 2 ads up front. Very, very easy stuff. I think it's very easy stuff. Hopefully they pull these things off long before the trade deadline, purely for the chemistry and, of course, as you know, the content. Why won't this be the Leafs' year? I said this after the Canucks game. Every winning team in recent memory has not just parts of their roster, parts of their core with something wrong with them. Matthew Tkachuk, there's something wrong with him. Like, if you had a flat tire and Matthew Tkachuk saw you, he would pull over, get out of his car, and pop your other 3 tires. There's something wrong with him. And
he'd be really good at it.
And he'd be really good at, like, efficient peel off before you even went. That's Matthew Tkachuk. The Vegas Golden Knights, like, Mark Stone, there's something wrong with him. The Avalanche? Nathan McKinnon should be studied by science. Nikita Kucherov, imagine he never discovered hockey. What would he have discovered first? Knives? The Leafs need... I need Matthews and Nylander and Marner and Tavares to stop being such normal human beings who happen to be good at sports. You need something wrong with you.
Let's see if he emerges.
Yes, but he's not part of the core.
Yes.
He's also been awful. Like I hope he's been awful. I hope they stop playing him at center, and B, whatever's ailing him, they actually give him time to sit out of the lineup, because he came out of the gate first 5, 6, 7 games of the season and was honestly like the best playmaker in the NHL. Like he led the league in primary assists for like a solid 2 weeks, and he's been awful. But you need key parts of your roster who genuinely concern you, and none of these guys do.
So there's your trade deadline preview by Steve Dangle. Something that's psychologically wrong.
100%.
That's what we need.
You need Arkham Asylum patience. Yes.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for your time. You are such a bright, fun, and funny part of the Toronto Leafs media. This is so needed. And thank you so much for coming on. We will be following along with you through hell or high water for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me. The sad clown will always be here to honk his nose.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.